Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button and turn your notifications so you are notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm sending shout out to every one of you for all the love and support. Thank you all so much to all my members for all the support and love you all shower me here with. I am grateful, and you are super sweet. Thank you. So today we'll be talking something very important. I mean, this video is going to piss a lot of white people off because it is also their own that actually started it. And number one is that, I keep saying this, that poor white people, I mean, the rich white people actually made the poor white people think that their problems are coming from black people when they don't know that they are using them against themselves, right? And not until they wake up. Number one is that they are not woke. And it is just amazing how in 2023 some people don't want to be woke. And when we talk about woke, it means that you are actually aware what is going on in your community, the injustice, like so many things. I cannot even name them, the systemic racism and the rest of it. Like, you are fully awake to every damn thing. I mean, some of them don't even want to know. This woman actually come out to say that she found out that the poor white people have so many things in common with black people or poor black people, right? And she actually, said the reason why she said all that. And that is actually the reality of the whole thing going on now. The fact that they have refused to understand what is going on, what they are using them for, how they are using them as pawns against one another or against black people. And number one is that one thing with them is that they would rather stick with their white people because, why do I have to stick with black people? But not until you all wake up to what is chasing you, to what is pursuing you. And then they also know that black people and them, the white poor people, also coming together is going to create a huge force. I mean, it's going to be a very huge force. So they are trying everything they can to keep them, keep them thinking that their problems are from black people. I am just rolling this clip. We'll come back to talk about it, and I absolutely want to read all your comments. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. So straight up.
So let me start off by saying that I'm from southeastern Kentucky, the Appalachian Mountains. Basically poor country folks, simple people. And I was just sitting here thinking about how much that, like, Appalachia, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, parts of Virginia, parts of Tennessee, all through that area, how much that we have in common with like the poor black communities in the cities. Now, I grew up, my dad wasn't in the home, and when my mom, she was in and out of jail, but when she went in jail, she was there. But I was raised by my mama. She took in me, my brother, and my sister, and raised us like her own. And about everybody I know, all my friends were raised by their grandparents too. And there's drugs everywhere. Everybody, all my friends was on food stamps, government assistance. I lived in a trailer park, and it was constant fighting, shooting, cops being called every other day. The police literally said that the trailer park that I grew up in was like the Detroit, Michigan of Kentucky. It was that bad. But the communities like I grew up in, we have so much in common with these poor black communities. And I don't know if it's the media or the politicians, but they try to cause division when we have more in common than we don't have in common. And if we could all just come together, we can make a change in this country. It's until what we could do. They say united we stand and divided we fall, and I believe that. I don't know, I just felt like I just needed to get that off my chest because I was thinking about it. Like, we really do have so much in common. It's almost scary, like them videos where they say put a finger down if, your mom was a drug addict or your dad wasn't around, or, somebody one of your friends got murdered, or, there's drugs in your neighborhood. And there's literally, like, methamphetamine has took over the rural areas of the country, and we're like the forgotten child, like the ugly stepkid of America that nobody wants to talk about. Well, I talk about it, and it's ravaging these communities. That makes me want to cry, because I still got family members that it's affecting. And I know these black communities have the same stuff going on, and they're being ignored too. If we could come together, maybe we could do something to stop this, to put an end to these drugs and all this violence that's going on. But yeah, that's just all I wanted to say, and I just wanted to get it off my chest. If anybody sees this, which I don't have many followers, then thanks for listening. So, let me start off by saying that I'm from...
Straight facts, no chaser. Please watch this video. This young lady has an epiphany, finding that black people have been having for years, that poor white people basically are voting against their own interests. They're going through the same things as poor black people. I'm pretty sure other poor cultures as well. But I can only speak for what black people that I know we've been going through and been talking about. She finally realizes that some of the same dynamics that are happening to these poor black families are happening to poor white families. It's just that poor white families are in the dark. They're forgotten. Why are they forgotten? Because when America tries to paint welfare and all these things as negative, they put a black face on it. When in reality, there are more white people on these programs by the millions than any other culture in America. But they got to throw a negative face on it. They're not about to throw the negative face of white people. They're not going to tear down white America. So they use black people. And poor white people have been all but too happy to let us share the burdens of their lives. So everything we've been fighting for, they benefit from. And now that they're trying to take it away from black people, they're definitely taking it away from you. Because again, you're on it more than anybody. So you're going to see the wrath of what rich white people have always thought about you, and that you guys have voted for them for white's sake. Not the right sake, for white's sake. When they get rid of, if these Republicans get in, of welfare, there's going to be a shit ton of white people out of work, on the streets, doing like night work. And I don't mean like working at night for other than, what purposes. Because that's the only way you're going to survive when these jobs disappear. Because they will disappear once this stuff happens. But see, most of the times, people don't think they're going to take that shit away. They didn't think they were going to take Roe versus Wade away. They did. So I'm thankful that you had this epiphany. That you decided to come out and say, you know what? Strong and proud, we are more alike than different. And if we unite, we can win. Stay divided, they win. So I hope more people like you listen to this and understand that if you stop voting for your own, you start voting for your own interests and not against it, and get away from these Republicans who are not doing anything for you, go to any other party other than those who are trying to destroy your lives. Then you can start to see some wins in your community. And also keep in mind, because you're doing great by your community does not mean you're destroying mine. If that's your intention, then you can stay on this Republican train. Your community can rise, and so can mine, together if we unite around the same issues. I speak facts, straight facts, no chaser. Fuck your feelings.
In common with like the poor black communities in the cities.
When you all get a chance, go ahead, check out the full video from this young lady. Honey, you are saying the quiet parts out loud. So we know this, that, yeah, there's more in common with people in poor white communities with folks in poor black communities. I grew up in a poor black community. And to be honest with you, I was born in 1970. And when I was growing up, I was raised to believe that white people were rich, that all white people had more than I had, that all white people grew up in two-parent families, and there was no violence, and there was no negativity in the community, and all the grass was greener on that side. And the reason I believe that is because that's all I saw on television. So when you have media conglomerates who can put stuff like that in front of you, and that's all you see and that's all you hear, then that's what you are raised to believe, despite what's happening in your own backyard. Honestly, one of the reasons why they want to get rid of platforms like TikTok and censor Facebook and all that is because people start connecting together more and the truth comes out. One of the oldest phrases I've heard back in the day is, and I'm probably misquoting this, but if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, then you got him. You got him. It's about mind control, honey. You're right. We're stronger together. The reason that this country will never come together as a nation is because the people in power don't want it to. They benefit from the ignorance. They benefit from the division. We're all struggling, going through some of the same situations. Nobody is better than anybody else because of the color of your skin. But that's what people have been convinced, and they have been told this time and time again. We're talking about centuries, to be honest with you. It's time to let that mess go. You know better. The people who are in your community know better. Hell, even the people who are sitting up here right now, shaking their heads, not believing what you're saying, they know better. In their hearts, they know better. It's easier to hate. It's easier to find somebody else as your enemy. It's much easier to understand that this person, this group of people are taking from you, and that's why you don't have. No, that's not true. That is not true. So, bravo to you, young lady, for understanding, for even coming out and admitting the truth that we all know to be true. Now we just got to get the rest of the world, the rest of this country, damn the rest of the world. I can't control what happens in the rest of the world, but we can definitely control what happens in this country. It's now time to get folks in this country to understand what's going on. Take these blinders off, and please, by all means, get over this whole thing about anti-woke. Do you know how stupid you sound when you're saying you're anti-woke? Do you know what woke means? It means to be.
How much that we have in common with like the poor black communities in the cities.
Okay, y'all, please go watch this video. If you have not seen this video, go back and watch the creator's video. My name is Kayla. I'm a youth organizing director in Tennessee, and I do exactly this kind of work that she's talking about. And I think this is a phenomenal example of somebody who knows what's going on in their community but doesn't necessarily know how to help. And she basically goes on to explain how in Tennessee and in other rural parts of the United States, especially in Appalachia, there are a lot of communities who are ravaged by lack of government affection, lack of government empathy, and lack of government intervention. We see poor rural communities have poor access to education, poor access to healthcare, poor access to food, etc., etc. And she basically goes on to say how those poor white communities have a lot in common with poor black communities in rural areas. This is exactly the kind of mindset and the kind of people that we need in communities to help us come together, point blank period. As an organizer and as a youth organizing director, I am a black woman in America, and to be quite frank, my presence in white rural communities is not the most welcome, nor is it the most appropriate. People like this creator it only takes one. It only takes one. This is somebody who I would be more than happy and more than grateful to work with, to be in contact with, to see how we can work together. But also, it only takes one person like this to educate the people in their community and to help people in their community understand that not only do they deserve more, not only are the problems that they're facing in the community not their fault, but as a result of something greater, but there are other people in the world just like them who are being treated in the same way. The misinformation that we're fed about each other, the hatred that we're told to have towards each other is such a powerful tactic. She talks about being the forgotten stepchild of the US, the dirty kid that nobody wants to talk about. That is the silent majority that you hear people talking about. Those are the people who are forgotten, who don't feel like they have a voice, but are the people who truly, truly, truly have so much power. We are fed so much hate towards each other and about each other, and I know it's easier said than done. I'm not leaving out years of history. That's a conversation for another time. But I say this to say that her point about united we stand, divided we fall is very powerful and very true. And I hate to be like the government, but people in power use tactics of hate to keep us separate, to keep us silent. And I really appreciate this creator because I know that sometimes those realizations are a little bit difficult to come to, but I think that it was very powerful what she said, and I think you guys should go watch the video.
How much that we have in common with like the poor black communities in the cities.
In order to understand context of what I'm about to say, you should probably go back and watch my new friend Melissa's video that I stitched. Melissa, you are absolutely correct. Poor and disenfranchised white neighborhoods, trailer parks, black ghettos, they come from the same system. And you're right. We have way more in common than we have differences. And this is how it starts. You have a feeling and you express it. And I've had these feelings for years. And I affirm your feelings. You're right. And through our discussion, if it's only one person, someone a little older than you, a little younger than you, a little older than me, or a little younger than me, white or black, that hears us converse through videos back and forth, and it opens their eyes. It's called Each One Teach One, young lady. And they do it with lies. They do it with untruths. So we need to do it with the real. That this skin that I carry, that I cannot get rid of, the skin that you carry that you cannot get rid of, it's not enough to keep us apart. It's not enough to keep us warring with each other. It's not enough for the rich and powerful to keep us at each other's necks while they keep us all poor and disenfranchised. We have time. And now we have you. A soldier that understands that all of this stuff that's going on, it don't make us less alike. It makes us more alike. I wish you all the best down there in southeastern Kentucky around Corbin and Lexington. I had some good times in those areas. Have a blessed day, love. Y'all stay frosty out there, yeah?
Have in common with like the poor black communities in the cities.
I need to give you some homework. I want you to do two things. I want you to look up Bacon's Rebellion, and I want you to look up the Poor People's Campaign. This video is so important. I literally had to fight back tears as I was listening to the video because this is the very thing that Dr. King was assassinated over, in addition to his opposition to the Vietnam War. But just before he died, a year before King was assassinated, he realized that while voting and desegregation were important, without economic stability and security, we don't have anything. And he also understood that we can't do this by ourselves, that we need each other, right, to deal with these issues. So the reason why I want you to go back and I want you to look at some videos and read up on Bacon's Rebellion is because we've been here before. The ruling class has a vested interest, right? Like the ruling class elites who are white, they have a vested interest in maintaining division between poor people of every race, of every ethnicity and nationality, right? In the 17th century, you had poor white people, you had black people, you had native indigenous people all working together, living together, being in community with one another. And so they were talking to each other and they understood that the common enemy wasn't each other. It was the ruling class, the elite, and they began to organize, right? And so the elite obviously felt threatened by that and afraid. And so what did they do? They said, okay, we will give some power to poor white people and we will take power away from black people. And it wasn't real power that they gave to poor whites, right? Like, so even though poor white people, they allowed them to participate a little bit in the political system, they allowed them to own a little bit of land, it wasn't the kind of power that was going to actually change the material conditions of their lives. It wasn't the kind of power that was going to, make the kind of differences that they believe. But what it did do is it said, you're white, which means you're better than these people over here. You're at least not black. You're at least not native indigenous. You're white. And my God, have we not been dealing with that ever since? This is why every single election year we say, why are poor white people voting against their economic interests? They're constantly voting against their interests. Well, they might be voting against their economic interests, but they're certainly not voting against their whiteness. Because in a white supremacist society where you are taught to believe that your whiteness makes you better than everybody else, that's the thing that
we have in common. Everybody would start talking about this and bring some attention to this so that we can get some of these problems.
Hey, so like if you see this is like not like a diss. I'm just trying to like give some more like context or information. So a big part of the reason why that drug addiction is so, like, drugs are fueled so much is because they are like funneled by the police. Like, government documents have came out, like it's been proven that like the police and like the FBI and all that are in cahoots with like drug lords and all that, trying to get the drugs pushed to America, pushed to these poor people. And it's because with this, then they're able to catch more people, arrest more people, because now that people are hooked on this drug, they're going to try to get more, which means they're going to be buying drugs illegally because the drugs are illegal, So that means they can arrest more people, which leads for more people to be in prison, which means more money for people who invest in these prisons. Prisons are a money maker, and that's why drugs are such a huge thing. That's why they don't want to even try to like help, because it's a money maker. It's sad, it's unfortunate, but that's the truth. They don't talk about it because the more people they arrest, the more people they put in prison, the more money people make. Again, not a diss, just trying to give some more context. I hope this made sense. I haven't gone to bed yet, and it's like almost 6 a.m.
Black communities, and I don't know if it's the media or the politicians, but
you should really watch her video. It's a very well said point about the comparison of how poor white people and poor black people have a lot of things in common. And I took this part out about the politicians and the media to basically say it's both.
Just all I got from the stitches, and trust me, this woman actually spoke the truth. That is the truth. And yeah, the last person that actually spoke, like, let me start from there, where she said, how drugs are being fueled in the community and all that. And that is absolutely fact. During the time I was like, my incarcerations and all that, and I found out that most of the drugs that they put in, especially in black community, was to destroy black community. So they planted a lot of CIA, planted so much drugs into black community to destroy them. And let's talk about why this woman that actually came out. Like, there is this thing that I keep saying: the rich white people make the poor white people think that their problems are coming from black people, when it is not true. This is just the mindset they make them believe, make them understand that their problems are black people, so they can keep fighting one another and not know that the same mindset they are using on them is like also they try to use it on black people. But black people already, they are woke, they understand everything. But now how do we sort all this out? It is them, because like black people are already aware of them. It is them going to educate one another, going to tell one another, because there's some of them seems not to understand. They would rather stand with that their rich white man telling them all lies and all that, than sticking together with black people to fight what that is fighting them. And she said, she found out that there are so many things they have in common, the poor white people with black people. But instead of them to all come together and look for a way to fight all this, because this is something like everybody will need to fight, because they know how strong and how great, how powerful, if Black people and them come together, especially the poor ones come together and fight the rich ones. They know how strong they will become. But the rich ones do not want that. And then let's talk about what she said, like the food banks, like some certain things that they make them think that the most people that are benefiting from it are Black people, when they are majorly the people benefiting from it. It's just like the affirmative action that they said, they struck down because they were thinking that it was Black people, that it was going to favor them and the rest of it. Then forgetting that the people that has benefited so much from affirmative actions have been white women and the rest of it. So make this make sense. And then I was able to also find out why they do not want to make healthcare system free in America. Why? Because Black people are going to benefit from it. And now the white poor people are also suffering with Black people. I don't know if you get that, if you understand where I am going to. And the fact that they do not even want to sit back, especially the poor one, want to sit back and think about what is going on in their community, is just something that baffles me. And number one is that some of them know, but they would rather sit with their white counterpart than coming together to fight what is fighting them. It is their choice. Like I keep saying, you know, one thing with all this is that they think it's only going to start affecting Black people, because that is always their mindset. They start with it's Black people that it's going to affect. Like I keep saying, when they are done with Black people, even, it's also affecting them as it stands. When you come, let's talk about Florida. When they were telling them, they were calling them, come all out. You all come see what is going on in Florida. Black women, they have been screaming, they have been shouting, and the rest of it. Right? They refused, they sat back. And now most of the things that they were calling them all out to come fight with them are happening to them. And they are like, if we had known, we would have listened to Black women while they were screaming, or listened to Black people while they were talking. You guys did not listen to them. You did not. And so you are going to suffer your suffer. Do not include Black people. Do not call them to come fight for you. So yeah, I hope this actually make a lot of sense to most of you people that come, especially the white ones. And see you all in my next video. Bye for now.